this is going to be a short series with some work in seated. So we'll get started. Okay, so find yourself a good comfortable position. Sitting nice and tall onto your sit bone, so just take the flesh of the buttocks out from underneath you and make sure we're sitting nice and tall. Okay, so just scanning through from the top of the head all the way down to the sit bones, just allowing yourself to get settled in that seated position. Okay, so we're just going to find our neutral seated position by doing some pelvic tilts. So from our nice elongated back position, we're going to tilt the pelvis back, and you'll see how my lower back is rounding. We're going to tilt the pelvis forward and see how we're almost bringing the chest forward as the pelvis tilts and allows the torso to come forward, and then tilting back again. So just trying to mobilise into the lumbar spine, finding some movement in the spine. If you have been sat at your desk working from home today, then this should be a nice way to just create some fluidity in that lumbar spine if you've been sat for long periods. So a couple more in each direction. It's a good release for the hips as well. And then we'll find that midway point, sitting nice and tall on those sit bones. And we'll just do a couple of neck rolls. So bringing chin down to chest. Feeling that lovely stretch at the back of the neck. And taking the left ear to the left shoulder. Try and keep the chin low. And right ear to right shoulder. Really allow that stretch just to deepen for a couple of seconds, and we'll go back to the opposite direction. Trying to keep the shoulders down. Just one more to each side. And bring chin back down to the centre point and slowly uncurl the head up. Okay, so from here, just to stabilise the upper torso, we're going to do some arm circles. So sitting nice and tall, shoulders down, we're going to bring those hands up, take them high above the head, and then circle them wide and down to our sides. Up and forwards, up to the ceiling. Try and keep that torso stacked on top of the pelvis so we're not flaring through the chest there as we bring the arms up. Reaching wide through those fingertips and bringing the hands forward again. We'll do two more, really reaching up, taking the palms wide, down and forwards, last one, reaching up, taking the hands wide, extending those fingertips out to the sides and bringing the hands down back onto the knees. Okay, bringing the hands up in front, palms are facing down. We're going to do a bow and arrow movement with the arms, and we're trying to encourage the torso, chest to rotate through. Okay, bringing the hands in front. Make sure the shoulders are settled down, and when you're ready, bringing that elbow back. As we do so, allowing that chest to open to the side, sending palms forward, reaching that other elbow back, really twisting, rotating through the rib cage, really trying to encourage the shoulder blade to squeeze at the back, drawing it back. Keep that torso lifted, remember, try not to tilt with the pelvis, and again really reaching back. Another lovely exercise to really open up the upper torso if you have been sitting at your desk or perhaps hunched over doing some gardening work, getting some vitamin D. Do one more to each side, really drawing the elbow back, opening through, twisting that torso. Bring the hands back in front and lower the arms down. Okay, so from here, I'm just going to shift forward so you can see a bit better. Again, still sitting nice and tall. I'm going to take the arms down to the sides and we're going to do our lateral reach. So raising up with the right hand. As we lift that arm towards the ceiling, we're then going to gently stretch over in the direction of that opposite knee. Try and keep the chest lifted if you can. Only take it as far as you can go, knowing you've got to reach back up and lower that arm down. Try and keep the pelvis equally weighted, so we're not lifting up with the opposite buttock. Draw this side of the pelvis down to the mat. Keep that hip stable. Reaching up. Think more about length through the body as to how far we can take it. Think length up and stretching over rather than dropping down and collapsing through. Really extend and reach. Should feel a lovely stretch down the side here. Back up. Really reaching through those fingertips. Holding for a second. Back up. And last one. Reaching through. And back up. Okay. So just swizzling around so you can see. I'm going to start to do a little bit of our C-curve work. So with our C-curve, remember, we're tilting back, so bringing the pelvis back towards the mat and created that rounded C-curve shape through the body. Okay, so before we begin, sitting nice and tall, the knees and feet are hip width distant, so in line here. Sitting nice and tall, shoulders are down. All we're going to do is just do 4 of our starting to warm up the C-curve, and then we'll add on some more difficult movements. So sitting nice and tall, tilting the pelvis back, allowing the fingertips just to graze the top of the knees. Keep lifted through the chest, engagement through the tummy, remember. Slowly tilting up and sitting tall again. So with this movement, you just want to gently engage the abdominals, just support us in this extended position. Slowly coming back up, sitting tall. And again, 2 more. Tilting back. Keep looking forward, shoulders down, chest up. And coming back. Last one. Tilting back. And tilting up. Lovely. Just take a minute to settle. Okay, so we're going to add on our arm openings to that exercise. So with this one, as we come back into that C-curve, we're going to raise the arms just in front, open one out to the side, keep looking forward, keep that engagement into the tummy. You may feel a little bit of shaking as the deeper abdominals start to engage to support you in this movement. We do 1 opening to each side and we slowly come back up and sit tall. And again, tilting back, keep those tummies switched on to support you. Open the arm wide, bring it back. Arm wide, bring it back. Gently roll back up and roll back down again. Open wide. And again. Coming up, last one. Rolling back. Really try and fix that position. Use the tummy to support you. That's it. Just drop the knees to the side just to loosen off. Little wiggle through the hips. We're going to do one last round of our C-curve with arm movement. This time we're going to raise the arms up ahead. So you're adding more of a longer lever to the movement, so you will feel a little bit more abdominal engagement needed to support you in this movement, or you will find you'll start to tip back. Okay, so sitting nice and tall, tilting back, engaging the tummy, arms in front, arm overhead and back, overhead and back. Try and keep the shoulders down, the chest lifted, tilting back up to seated, and again. Hold in the tummy, keep it engaged, keep breathing. Rolling up, we'll do 2 more, and back. Last one, tilting back. Keep the chest lifted. Try and control the arm movement. Nice and slow and steady. Tilting back up. Again, just take the knees to one side. Loosen off through those hips. Okay, last little challenge with our C-curve is we're going to try raising the toes. I'm just going to shift a little bit further back so you can see my feet. Okay, so again, sitting nice and tall. As we tilt back, I'm keeping my hands just behind the thighs here, just for support, because if you do start to lose balance and you start to go backwards, we've got a little bit of a safety blanket here. Okay, so tilting back, slowly raising the toes, keep the chest lifted, shoulders down, opposite leg, lower down, and gently feed yourself back up to seated. And again, tilting back, raising the toes, back up, sitting tall. 2 more. If you want to challenge yourself and take the arms out in front, have a go. Remember to keep switched on through the tummy. Back up. And last one, really tilting back, gauging through the tummy, raise and lower, raise and lower, sitting back up. Lovely. We're going to try our full roll back. I encourage you perhaps to start off, if you do have a stretchy band, ideal. If you don't, you could perhaps use a belt, or a softer belt you might have in your dressing gown. Something like that that's long enough so that we can wrap it around our feet and have a little bit of leeway just to help us to roll back with control. Okay, so sitting towards the front edge of your mat, placing the band around your feet. I remember the hip width distance with the knees and feet, and sitting nice and tall on the pelvis to begin with. Shoulders are back and down, starting to tilt back. As we slowly feed the spine back into the floor, start to allow the band to loosen off. Extend fully back, head kisses the ground behind you. Slowly nod the head forward and gently roll yourself back up to seated. So the key thing to think of is this, with this movement, is to maintain the position of the legs. So try not to allow the legs to extend and push away. Keep them fixed in space. Another thing is always keep a connection with the tummy. So you'll find as you start to roll back, the tummy's still switched on, but I'm breathing as normal. If you do relax and let the tummy go, you find that the whole body loses the ability to spring itself back up. So you really want to try and maintain that connection through the abdominals, but remember to breathe. And if you keep that connection, you'll find it much easier to flow back up once you've come down. So we'll have another go. We'll do 3 more. So sitting tall, tilting back, engaging those tummies, Tilt all the way back. Allow the head to bob on the floor and immediately rolling back up. Keep the shoulders down. Try and encourage the movement to come from the centre of the body rather than yanking with the band. And again, really feeding the spine back into the mat and immediately curling back up, sitting nice and tall, and again tilting back, feeding the spine back to the mat. Let's do last one together, and tilting back. Okay, sitting nice and tall. Shall we try one without the band? If you'd rather keep the band for now, absolutely fine, but let's have a little go and see how we get on. So arms out in front, shoulders down, tilting back, engaging the tummy. Head comes back, arms overhead, and immediately coming back up, keeping the tummy engaged, reaching forward with those fingertips, and then lowering the hands down, and lovely stuff. Okay, so from there, let's just do a little bit of a release stretch for the hips here. So you may find with those rollbacks, you get a little bit of tension into the hip flexor and into the quads. So we'll just do our hip flexor stretch. So taking 1 foot forward, 1 foot behind, send this leg back a little, and we're going to extend over this front foot. Make sure the knee is not coming forward of the toes. I'm just going to open out, so really press the buttocks forward, open out the front of the hip here, sitting nice and tall, shoulders down. Lovely. We're then going to press back through this leg and send the bottom back the way. So here we're starting to stretch the hamstring, trying to encourage the bottom to sit down, and just take the hands where it's comfortable in front. Nice big stretch for the hamstring here. Coming back forward, switch legs. This leg forward, this leg slightly behind. And then again, checking position of knee should not be over the toes. And again, sinking forward with this hip, sending forward. Hold this stretch for a couple of seconds, sorry. And then pressing through this leg, sending the hips and the bottom back, flexing the heel if you can, and finding this stretch at the back of the leg. Really sit down with the buttocks if you can. Okay, from here, just going to swizzle back round to our seated position. Okay, so we're going to do our spine twist. So from our seated position, it'd be best doing this from the side. Again, make sure the flesh of the buttocks is out from underneath you, sitting nice and tall with a neutral spine. So from this position, we can either keep the knees bent, or if you feel that you've got comfortable hamstrings now, you can take the legs just a little bit wider than hip width distance. Again, sitting nice and tall. So with our spine twist, the idea is to maintain length through the spine. So you've always got length coming up rather than sinking down or tilting back. So really think about sitting nice and tall in this position. Taking the arms out to the side, keeping them in line with the shoulders. Sitting nice and tall, a little bit of engagement through the tummy to support you in this position. We're going to extend up and twist. So you notice that the movement is not coming from the arms, it's coming from the torso. So I'm trying to twist my torso to face the opposite knee, the opposite foot. So we're trying not to move the arms, keeping that length through the torso and the twist. Back to centre, lift up, keep shoulders down and twist. Trying to lengthen through the body at all times. Back to centre and twist again. Really try and turn the chest to face the opposite wall. Back to centre and twist. Keep lifting and lengthening through the spine. If you have got legs extended, try and keep the feet glued to their positions. We'll do one more in each direction. Watch those shoulders aren't creeping up as we start to tire into the back. Really encourage that openness through the twist, through the chest, and a deep twist. This is a really great strengthening exercise for all the muscles. Coming back to centre, all the muscles that go down the back, all these posterior chain muscles, really strengthening these supportive muscles for your spine. Okay, so one last one, which is a great one for the hip flexors, is our mermaid stretch. So from cross-legged position, we want to take one leg as it is, and the opposite leg, the knee turns to face the toes. So if you can see, that is roughly how you should look. Keeping the bottom down, this foot goes in towards the bottom a little bit. Okay, so in this position, we are going to pick the hips up, so pressing this hip forward. It's almost kind of opening out through the hips. And if it's comfortable, if this is fine for you, then just feel that stretch. Should be a nice deep stretch at the front of the hip here. If you want to extend it further, reach the arm up and over, and you can extend and allow the head to almost look over your shoulder. So you should feel a lovely stretch all the way from the hip across the back. Slowly lower down. We're then going to change the position with the knees. So bring this knee leg into cross-legged. This knee faces the toe, like so. And this time, this hip will open up. So pushing this hip forward and pressing into that back hand. So picking those hips up, sending this hip forward. And again, if you want to, reach the arm up and overhead and allow the body to almost arch and looking across that shoulder. And then lower that down. And we'll finish off with our clam stretch. So bringing the soles of the feet in towards each other, almost holding them like a book. And then we're going to again just make sure the sit bones are nicely settled onto the mat, making sure in this position we've got a lovely straight back if we can, chest is lifted, and then we're going to try and encourage the knees to lower down to the floor. So as we do so, we want to make sure we're still lifted through the chest, and then just allowing those knees with time to soften, and the hips here to open up to allow the knee to lower to the floor. Take a nice big breath in. And as you breathe out, really soften the shoulders down and just encourage those knees a little bit wider and lower to the floor. Lovely. So gently taking the hands underneath the knees, Draw the knees in towards each other, and we'll finish with our lying rest position. So take the knees a little bit wider than the mat, or if you don't have a mat, a fair bit wider than the hips. Send the bottom back and reach those arms forward and allow the chest to relax down towards the floor. So you can either take your forehead down to the mat, or if you want to, you can take the forearms across and rest the head onto the forearms. So really encourage the body to relax now. One big breath in. One big breath out. And take the arms back to their start position, arms extended. Slowly feed them back in and gently roll yourself back up to a kneeling position. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. Should be a nice little stretch for you to do at the end of the day. And I will see you again. Thank you very much.